Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody else. Welcome to a special edition of the Access Arts Live roundup of the live stream action coming to us from two huge chamber music festivals going on in the month of July on the two coast of the United States. The Bowdoin Festival, Bowdoin International Music Festival in Brunswick, Maine, in the northeastern section of the U.S., and the Seattle Chamber Music Society Summer Music Festival going on in Seattle, Washington State, which is in the northwest corner of the United States. It's interesting that they put these summer festivals on there. I think it's because the weather's a little cooler or up there, and that's the warmer time of the year from there, but it's cooler than in some other parts of the United States. But in any way, there's a plethora of live streams going on. The Bowdoin International Music Festival will be mounting 54 different live streams on its YouTube channel, all of them free of charge. Now, a number of those are student live streams because they bring in about 250 students from around the world and all 50 states. But a number of them are faculty and visiting guest artist concerts, and those are the ones that we'll be telling you about. But you can go to their YouTube channel and find all the student ones just as well. And these are high quality students from around the world. And simultaneously, the Seattle Chamber Music Society is mounting its summer music festival that they call the world's largest chamber music party. And they will be doing 12 live streams between now and the end of August. So I guess they're doing about 3 a week. So over a 4-week period of time. These are high quality live streams. They are not free of charge. They are $36 per viewing, or you can also buy a festival package, which I think is about, brings the cost down to about $20 per viewing. So depending on your budget and your interest, you'll make your own choices about this, but we want you to know all about them. And all these artists that you see there in the photo, that's not even close to all the artists that I'm going to be telling you about performing just this week. And I had to set up this special edition to talk about them because there was no time to fit it into our weekly chamber music roundup. I would have been going on for I don't know how long. So just a little reminder, the Bowdoin Festival is under the direction of David and Philip Ying, who are members of the well-esteemed Ying Quartet. And they will be live streaming performances this week of music by Poulenc, Moskowski, Vaughan Williams, and Andrea Pinto Correia, contemporary composer. Then they'll also be they have a contemporary music festival within the Bowdoin Festival, and that will be playing 10 or 12 contemporary composers that we'll tell you about as well. Then Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, it's the Seattle Chamber Music Summer Festival's turn, and they will be using what they tell us is a state-of-the-art 6-camera live streaming system and live streaming music by Mozart, Milhaud, Beethoven, Franck, Schubert, Brahms, Grieg, and Brahms, and a merry band of musicians led by James Aenes of the James Aenes Quartet. That's Aenes, E-H-N-E-S, if you don't know the man. Before I go any further, remember to hit the like button on the Facebook video, and if you're following us on any of our other 6 platforms, please follow and or subscribe to Access Arts Live on YouTube, X, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and LinkedIn to get more than 1,000 live performances online every year. So let's move on right to the first of the live streams I want to tell you about, which is later today. Out on the West Coast, coming to us from the Seattle Early Music, the Seattle Chamber Music Society's Summer Music Festival. Tuesday, July 8th, the Seattle Chamber Music Summer Festival live streams. Festival director James Ennis and Company in a suite by Milhaud for 2 pianos, a serenade for string trio by Beethoven, and a piano quintet by César Franck. That'll be at 7:30 in the evening on the West Coast, 10:30 in the evening on the East Coast, an unwatchable 4:30 in the morning in Europe, but 12:30 lunchtime down under in Australia, Wednesday lunch. I will try to include the program notes for this concert if there's room in the space that's allotted to us in the comment section. The photo you're seeing there is Alessio Bach's and Jiwan Park, who will be performing the first piece in that concert, Darius Milhaud's Scaramouche, a suite for 2 pianos, Opus 165B. Darius Milhaud is that French Jewish composer who actually ended up in California at Mills College during World War II and taught there for 30 years. And then was also teaching at the Paris Conservatory. I don't know how he managed to do both, but he did. Conductors and music teachers managed to be in more than one place at a time. Alessio Bach got his start with the Seattle Chamber Music Society's Summer Festival in 2016. So he's been playing there for a decade. He's the kind of guy who, while he was in the early stages, was the first prize winner at both the Leeds and the Hamamatsu International Piano Competitions. And he's the artistic director of a festival in Tuscany, the Incontri in Terra di Siena Festival. But he also plays it a lot at festivals like Verbier, the Beethoven Fest, the Aldeburgh Fest, the Santa Fe Chamber Music Festival. Jiwan Park is Korean-born. She started performing already at the age of 12 with playing Chopin's first concerto with the Korean Symphony Orchestra. She has, along with her husband, Edward Aaron, who also is appearing on tonight's, I believe today's bill with the Seattle Chamber Music Society, along with her husband, Edward Aaron, she recorded Beethoven's complete works for cello and piano. And she and her husband are co-artistic directors of a performing artist in residence series at the Clark Institute. She, I do not believe has a teaching post. She's a performing artist. That will then be followed up by a Beethoven Serenade for Strings. The Serenade for String Trio in D major, Opus 8. On that, you'll have Ura Lee, who's an associate professor at the USC Thornton School of Music, who's also played as a chamber musician at the Salzburg Festival, Verbier, the Kronberg Festival, the Aspen Music Festival. So she gets around. Beth Guterman Chu on the viola. She's the principal violist of the St. Louis Symphony. And she's also a member of the East Coast Chamber Orchestra, which is one of those conductorless chamber orchestras. Because, chamber musicians play without a conductor, so they create entire orchestras which play without conductors. And third is on the cello is Sterling Elliott, who's still in school. He's a fellow at Juilliard School, pursuing his artist diploma, but we're told that he's appeared with such major orchestras already as the Philadelphia, the New York Phil, the Boston Symphony, the Detroit Symphony, the LA Phil, so he's a comer. And then the third piece for the evening will bring in the director, and I think it virtually amounts to the James Ennis Quartet playing with a... where is this? Do I have the photo of it? Yeah, playing with a pianist. The third and final piece of this evening's concert out on the West Coast is César Franck's Piano Quintet in F minor, Opus 14. And the pianist will be Inan Barnatan, who has performed together with James Ennis before at Wigmore Hall. And his piano playing has been praised equally by the New York Times, the Figaro in Paris, and the Evening Standard in England. So he must be pretty good. This past season, he's played with the San Diego Symphony, the Boston Symphony, the Tokyo Symphony, the Israeli Symphony, etc. Then you'll have James Ennis on the violin, along with Amy Schwartz Moretti, who's a member of the Ennis Quartet. She's the director of the McDuffie Center for Strings at Mercer University, Townsend School of Music. The violist is Che-Yen Chen, who's also a member of the Ennis Quartet and professor of viola and performance at the UCLA Herb Alpert School of Music. That's right, they named their School of Music after Herb Alpert. And I'm going over all of these people, one by one. You can follow their pictures from left to right. Then finally, the cellist is Edward Aaron, whom, as I mentioned, is the husband of, let me get this right, of Jiwon Park, who's playing just before in the piece, just before them. And he's been playing with the Seattle Chamber Music Festival since 2009. He teaches at the University of Amherst, in addition to co-directing that Artist in Residence series along with Jiwon Park. So that's the first concert you have coming to you this week from the Seattle Chamber Music Society. And to me, it sounds like a good one. Next up, what do we have next, John? Next up will be on Wednesday, and that will be the first of this Gamper Festival of Contemporary Music within the Bowdoin International Chamber Music Festival. So here are the photos of the different composers, and the Gamper Contemporary Music concerts are played by a mix of faculty and students at the Bowdoin International Music Festival. So I'm not be going through all of the musicians, but instead I want to tell you a little bit about each of these composers in case you don't know them. So Wednesday, July 10th, Bowdoin Music Festival's Gamper Contemporary Music Festival live streams contemporary works by Wang Liu, Anders Hilberg, Georgi Kurtag, Kelly Marie Murphy, Helen Grime, and Andrew Norman. That'll be at 7:30 in the evening Eastern Daylight Time, 4:30 in the afternoon on the West Coast, 1:30 in the morning in Europe, and 9:30 on Thursday morning down under in Australia. So let me go through these different pieces that they're going to be playing. They'll be playing a piece called Onward Wayward by Wang Liu. Wang Liu's a prominent Chinese composer, and he known and also a pianist, and she's known for finding innovative ways to blend traditional Chinese music with contemporary classical music. And that's her, the first picture on the left. She teaches also at Brown University. This will be followed by Anders Hilberg's 6 Pieces for Wind Quintet. Hilberg is a top Swedish composer. I spend half my time here in Stockholm. I'm in Stockholm now, so we're very familiar with him, and he's been freelancing for 40 years. So he's got to be pretty good if he can get away with that. And he writes for orchestras, choirs, chamber works, film, popular music, and he gets commissions from places like the Orchestre de Paris, the Oslo Phil, the Chicago Symphony, etc. Then the next piece is by Georgi Kurtag. It's called Homage to Schumann, and he's Hungarian and old, born in February 1926. The guy's 100 years old. So he's contemporary and he's a pianist as well as composer, but he's also one of the last connections to that post-war wave of composers, because he would have been in the late 1940s and early 1950s, he would have been in his 20s, just coming into it along with these other post-war composers who came along. So an interesting piece you may want to hear. Then they'll be doing a piece by Kelly Marie Murphy called Si Verias a la Rana. And I don't know what that means. I don't have time to look everything up. That's a piece for cello and harp. She's Canadian. She's composed for different Canadian symphony orchestras: Toronto, Winnipeg, Vancouver, the Griffin Trio, the Cecilia and Afiara string quartets. And for many years, she lived and worked in Washington, D.C., where she says she was designated as, quote, an alien of extraordinary ability, unquote, by the U.S. Immigration Services. She's going back to China now. Next, after that comes a piece, a more complicated piece by Helen Grime called Luna. She's a Scottish composer. This is a piece for flute, oboe, clarinet, horn, piano, and percussion. So everybody gets in on the act. And she's an MBE, which is one of those British awards they give out for distinction. And she's about 45, 44. And this is a piece which is based on a poem by Ted Hughes called Harvest Moon. So I thought I'd read for you a portion of Harvest Moon so you get an idea of what it was that inspired her. Harvest Moon by Ted Hughes. The flame-red moon, the harvest moon, rolls along the hills, gently bouncing, a vast balloon, till it takes off and sinks upward to lie on the bottom of the sky like a gold doubloon. The harvest moon has come, booming softly through heaven like a bassoon, and the earth replies all night like a deep drum. So people can't sleep, so they go out where elms and oak trees keep a kneeling vigil in a religious hush. The harvest moon has come. Ted Hughes. And then they will finish up with a piece called Gran Turismo by a composer named Andre Norman, who's also about 40 years old, born 1979. He teaches at Juilliard School and also at the USC Thornton School of Music. Another of these teachers who, like conductors, manage to be in two places at the same time. And yeah, this is a piece it's a violin octet, but it's not totally new. It was composed back in 2004. But anyway, so they have 8 violinists playing this, and it was inspired by the Gran Turismo video game series, and also by the paintings of Giacomo Balla. So that is what the Gamper Contemporary Music Festival, as part of the Bowdoin Music Festival, has to offer you today, a chance to discover, if you don't already know them, or enjoy, if you do know them, these marvelous contemporary composers from age 40 to age 100, free of charge. So that was on Wednesday evening. So on Thursday evening, we're back again with the Seattle Chamber Music Festival. Thursday, July 10th, the Seattle Chamber Music Summerfest live streams a Mozart sonata for violin and piano, a Schubert string trio, and a Brahms piano quartet played by top chamber musicians from across the country. That'll be at 7:30, their usual time, 7:30 in the evening on the West Coast, 10:30 on the East Coast, 4:30 in the morning in Europe, and 12:30 on Friday morning down under in Australia. What a great way to start the day. And this concert starts out with a Mozart sonata for piano and violin in E-flat major, Kershaw number 380, played by James Ennis, the festival director, and Alessio Box, whom, if you've been following along, is the award-winning pianist who has made, according to his bio, more than 100 orchestral appearances, and is the artistic director of Tuscany's Incontri in Terra di Siena festival. And that's a picture of the two of them, so you can imagine, if you will, what they might look like playing together. This will be followed up by a piece for strings. Schubert's String Trio in B-flat major, D581, with Noah Geller, Che Yen Chen, and Sterling Elliott. Let me tell you about each of these. The reason I'm doing this is because these are all top people that they bring in, and I want you to know a little bit about the players who are performing this music. Noah Geller is the concert master at the Seattle Symphony Orchestra, but he also guest concert masters with other places. Interesting thing about Noah Geller is he performs on a violin which was built for him in 2020. Yeah, 5 years ago, by a Philadelphia violin maker, Justin Hess. And he already has commissioned a second instrument. So unlike those who insist on playing ancient instruments, he's playing one which could not be more modern, although the bow he uses is very classical and distinguished. The violist is Che Yen Chen, who's one of those members of the Ennis quartet. He's is the professor of viola at the UCLA School of Music. And he's also the founding member of the Formosa Quartet. He's no longer with the Formosa Quartet, though. And he guest violas at California orchestras like in LA and San Francisco. Keeps to the West Coast, it seems. And then the cellist is Sterling Elliott, that young Juilliard fellow who has already appeared with a number of top orchestras like the New York Phil, the LA Phil, the Detroit, etc. So that should be good. And then the concert will wind up with Brahms's Piano Quartet number 2 in A major. And in this one, the husband and wife team of Jiwan Park and Edward Aaron, who both participated in other pieces that were played on Tuesday, are playing together with two other string players. And Jiwan Park and Edward Aaron, they're those co-directors of a Performing Artists in Residence series at the Clark Institute in Massachusetts. And Aaron teaches at Amherst. And they recorded, not only did they record Beethoven's complete works for cello and piano, and that's on the Aeolian Classics record label, they also performed them live recently in a 2-day concert. And they may have done that more than once. And that's, to play them all live is a whole lot different from playing them in the studio where you can stop and take your time and have pauses. Anyway, the other two people playing in this are Amy Schwartz Moretti on the violin. She's a member of the Ennis Quartet and the director of the McDuffie Center for Strings at Mercer University. And Beth Guterman Chu, who's the principal violist of the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra and a member of the conductorless East Coast Chamber Orchestra. Looks like another fine concert offering by the Seattle Chamber Music Society, if you ask me. Then on Friday, this is, every other day there's a different orchestra coming your way. Friday, we're back to the Bowdoin Festival. Friday, July 11th, Bowdoin International Festival live streams a variety of chamber music formats. A sonata by Poulenc for violin and piano, a suite for violin and piano by Moskowski, piano quintet by Vaughan Williams, and a violin solo composed by contemporary composer Andrea Pinto Correia. The Poulenc Sonata for Violin and Piano will be played by Annie Snark, the Romanian Israeli-British violinist. She's on the faculty at the Royal College of Music, and Tao Lin, who's visiting faculty at Shanghai Normal University. He does a lot of performing and recording on various recording labels. Music Web International gave him the Recording of the Year award for his recording of the complete music for Schubert's complete music for violin and piano. Then they'll do a piece called Cantico by a contemporary composer, Andrea Pinto Correia. That'll be played by Itamar Zorman on the violin. He's a concert artist, plays everywhere from Mariinsky to Toulouse, plays at festivals like Verbier and Marlborough. And it's a solo piece, which was co-commissioned by the Boston Symphony Orchestra and some private sponsors for a Belarusian Jewish refugee, Yevgeny Kutik, came to the United States in like 1900 and then became a successful violinist. And he premiered the piece himself, Kutik did, at the Tanglewood Festival in 2022. So Andrea Pinto Correia, she's Portuguese, and she has taught at places like the Jacobs School of Music. And she's had commissions from the New York Phil, the LA Phil, the European Union, Tanglewood, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That'll be good. Then they'll do Moritz Moskowski Suite in G minor. That's for violin and piano with Itamar Zorman, again, and Robin Scott on the violin. Robin Scott's at the Eastman School of Music. And also plays with the Ying Quartet, and the Ying brothers are the ones running this festival. So that's no surprise. Moskowski, if you don't know him, was a German-Polish composer. And the pianist Paderewski said that after Chopin, nobody understood how to write for the piano better than Moskowski. So how about that? And then they'll finish up with Ralph Vaughan Williams, piano quintet in C minor. And that will be a whole group, because it's a quintet. And there's the whole gang that's playing in that. That'll be Renee Joles on the violin, Melissa Reardon on the viola. She's the artistic director of the Portland Chamber Music Festival and a violist with the Borromeo String Quartet. Amir Eldon on the cello. He's on the faculty at the University of Michigan after teaching at Oberlin for many years. Tracy Rowell on the bass. She's still at Oberlin Conservatory. And Lisa Stepanova, who's on the faculty at the University of Georgia, Hugh Hodgson School of Music. And she has a very impressive discography, and she's very proud of her students. In her biography, she makes a point of saying her students go on to great success at other schools and with orchestras and chamber music places. So that looks like it'll be another lovely concert from the Bowdoin International Music Festival. On Saturday, once again, and we're gonna go well over my 30-minute limit, but there's no way to actually tell you about this stuff in any kind of detail, which I think it deserves, without taking time. So it takes the time it takes. This is another set of of contemporary composers. Saturday, July 12th, Bowdoin Music Festival's Gamper Contemporary Music Festival is back with new works by David Zubay, Curtis Stewart, Narong Prang Charoen, Jing Chu Hu, and Valerie Coleman. If contemporary classics are your thing, this is for you. That'll be again at 7:30 in the evening on the East Coast, 4:30 on the West Coast, 1:30 in the morning in Europe, 9:30 Sunday morning down under in Australia. Zubay's piece is called It Is Above That You and I Shall Go, and it's for piano and percussion. And Zubay is a professor of music composition at Indiana University in Bloomington. Then they'll do Curtis Stewart's American Caprices, which is in they'll do three pieces from that. And they're all for violin. It looks like for solo violin. And Curtis Stewart, surprise, is a violinist on the faculty of Juilliard. Then they'll do a piece called Ambiguous Traces by Narong Prang Charoen. That's for flute, oboe, clarinet, bassoon, and horn. He is the first Thai composer, he's from Thailand, ever to win the Charles Ives Award in Music Composition from the American Academy of Arts and Letters. Very proud of that. He's the dean of Mahidol University's College of Music, and he's composer in residence for the Thailand Philharmonic Orchestra, as well as for the Pacific Symphony in Orange County, California. Then they'll do a piece by a Chinese composer called Invincible by Ching Chu Hu for cello and bass. So that'll be very low pitched. He's the Aaron Copland Fellow at the MacDonald Colony for the Arts, composer in residence at the Piccolo Spoleto Festival. He was interviewed by Robert Voisi on 15 Minutes of Fame. I know Robert Voisi. I interviewed him because he does very interesting work. It's not all live streaming, but it's all contemporary as can be. It's all now music. And he's on the faculty at Denison University, Ching Chu Hu is. He grew up in a Chinese family in the Midwest, and he says that really shaped his aesthetics. Then they'll finish up with a piece called Revelry by Valerie Coleman, African-American composer and flautist, as well as the creator of a wind quintet called Imani Winds. Performance today's Classical Woman of the Year in 2020. And according to the Washington Post, one of the top 35 women composers in the world. This piece is for flute, clarinet, bassoon, violin, viola, cello, and piano. And she's proud of citing the fact that in 2019, an orchestral work that she composed was commissioned and premiered by the Philadelphia Orchestra. It was called Umoja, Anthem for Unity. And this was the first time the Philadelphia Orchestra had performed a classical work by an African-American woman who was alive. How about that? You know, these are first. And it's kind of amazing that some things are only for the first time. Anyway, it looks like a great concert. If you're looking for contemporary works by contemporary composers, this one is just chock full of them of all kinds. And then finally, this week of terrific chamber music of all kinds. I mean, it's a real surfeit. If you listen to all these concerts, you'll be chamber music out by the end of this week. We finish off once again with the Seattle Chamber Music Society and another James Ennis-led production. Sunday, July 13th, Seattle Chamber Music Summer Festival continues with a piano trio by Schubert, a violin sonata by Grieg, and a piano quintet by Weinberg. This is classic chamber music for chamber music aficionados. I mean, this is really it. Now, this as a more watchable time for those of you in Europe. It's at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on the West Coast in the U.S., 5 o'clock in the evening on the East Coast, 11 o'clock in the evening in Europe, and then early 7 in the morning, Monday morning, down under in Australia. They'll be doing Schubert's Piano Trio in E-flat Major, Opus 148, the Notturno, with Alessio Bax, the artistic director of Tuscany's Incontri in Terra di Siena Festival, on the piano. Andro Juan, who has a discography of all kinds of Grammy and Juno Award nominated releases, and who is the concert master of the Montreal Symphony Orchestra, and Sterling Elliott, the Juilliard Fellow who's already appeared with all these top orchestras, Philadelphia, New York, LA, Phil, Detroit. Who knew? Then they'll do, then James Ennis comes on to do Grieg's Violin Sonata No. 2 in G Major, Opus 13, together with the pianist Orion Weiss, who he's a pure performer, much acclaimed by the critics, who's performed with, Chicago, Boston, LA, New York, San Francisco, Philadelphia, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, et cetera, orchestras. And they will finish up with a piano quintet, Opus 18, by Mieczysław Weinberg. And in that, the performers will be some, if you've been following my descriptions of the earlier live streams this week by the Seattle Chamber Music Society, then these names will be familiar to you. Amy Schwartz-Moretti, Noah Geller, Che-Yen Chen, Edward Aaron, and Juliana Abdeeva. Folks, that's what we have for you in terms of live streams solely from these two chamber music festivals this week, the Bowdoin International Music Festival and the Seattle Chamber Music Society's Summer Music Festival, the world's largest chamber music party. In just 1 week. There's another 3 weeks coming in the month of July when there'll be more and more of these. I'll be telling you all about them as the month of July is going on. If you're a chamber music aficionado, you have concerts of galore to enjoy. Many of them, all 54 of the live stream concerts from the Bowdoin International Music Festival, free of charge. And then you also will have at least a dozen live streams of high quality, really hardcore chamber music performed by musicians brought in by the guy you see in that photo there, James Ennis, at the Seattle Chamber Music Society Summer Music Festival. Although those will not be free, those come at a charge of $36 US, or if you buy an entire festival package, you can bring the cost down to about $20 per concert. That's what we have for you for this week. I hope that one or any or more of these live streams inspire you, uplift you, or just show you a heck of a good time. And sometimes chamber music can do that, especially some of the contemporary stuff is quite wild. And before I sign off for this week, I will want to remind you, as usual, if you're watching this on Facebook, hold on a second. If you're watching this on Facebook, please like the video. If you're watching on any of our other platforms, please follow and or subscribe to Access Arts Live. We're on YouTube, X, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and LinkedIn, and we will make sure that you get live links to more than 1,000 live performances online in the coming year. We did it last year. We'll be doing it again this year. So with that, I say ciao for now.